In the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to create a social media campaign strategy. Social media is the most powerful political tool ever invented. If you'd like to know how to use that well, stay with me because I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to cover in this video, 3 things you must do before you start your campaign. 3 ways to fine-tune your strategy after you've decided what it is that you're going to say and what to do after you start posting. 3 things to do before you start is decide what your campaign message is. What are you going to tell voters so that they can make an informed decision in your social media campaign? It's the substance of your message. What goes into your campaign message? 1, you got to tell them what you're going to do for them, how you're going to improve their quality of life in their community, their state, and their country. Otherwise, you're irrelevant to them if you don't. They're going to be curious about what makes you qualified to do the job because they don't want to vote for you only to find later that you're some sort of clown. So they'll be looking for proof that you got your feet on the ground. They would like to know something about your moral code and your notions of right and wrong because they want to know that you're grounded in some of the same values that they hold near and dear. They're going to want to know why they should trust you to do the right thing when they are not looking. The last thing they're going to be curious about is what makes you better than the other people running. Why should they choose you instead of one of your competitors? It's incumbent upon you to tell them that. They're not going to go look for this information. You got to feed it to them over the course of a social media campaign. They're not going to wake up in the morning thinking, oh, that they really need to spend part of their day this morning visiting your website if they haven't heard from you. They will do it if you prompt them to go look at your website. And to prompt them to do that, you have to be visible on social media. So that's the substance of your message, and it has to be right if you want your social media campaign to work. Second question you're going to think about here is, okay, so you post, you put things up. What do you want people to do as a result of what you say? Don't just post without giving them something to do. Do you want them to give you money? Then you have to ask for it. Do you want them to volunteer? You've got to ask them to volunteer. Do you want them to sign a petition? Well, you have to ask them to sign a petition. Do you want them to show up for a meeting? Well, you got to tell them when the meeting is and give them a hint on how to get there. Give them an address. Do you want them to call you? Well, you got to give them a phone number. What is it that you want people to do? If you are not telling them, they're not going to know, and all you'll get is a bunch of likes that don't do you any good. You want to harvest people as you're posting who become campaign volunteers and contributors to your cause. You do have to give some consideration as well as the kind of people you're targeting. Oh, say, for example, if your target group with this social media campaign is, let's say, voters under the age of 30. That pretty much dictates that you use TikTok to communicate. You're going to have to learn how your candidate can talk to a video for that communication to be effective. They're going to have to learn how to talk on the cuff and be authentic and real in that video because you can't script 6 TikTok videos a day and have them look normal. The third consideration here is, who are you targeting? Now, there are many social media platforms, but they have different demographic audiences. If you're trying to get a message to people over the age of 55, your best bet is probably either Instagram or Facebook because Facebook has an older demographic. Instagram also reaches some of the same people. If you're after a younger audience, why, TikTok is a pretty good option for you. If you're after people in middle age, say 35 to 60, they tend to spend a lot of time on YouTube. And it's a great place to get their attention. Even if you want to run a few YouTube ads in your jurisdiction, you can target YouTube viewers by zip code using YouTube advertising. Are you trying to reach opinion leaders? Well, then you really need to be on X, because especially journalists who cover opinion leaders, that is a common tool that they use to keep up with news. So give some consideration to who you are targeting and what your sweet spot is with your social media that you are going to use, and adjust your message accordingly. Let's turn to what it takes to fine-tune your strategy. And let's presume that you are using every available social media platform. Well, TikTok and YouTube are video. Now, video is very powerful, but it's also different than using Facebook or X, because video has to be formatted in a certain way for both TikTok and YouTube to conform to the fact that it's not a static thing. When people go to those two things, they're expecting to see video, and if you post a still picture with nothing else, it's not going to work. So that is one way you have to format your message to conform to those limitations. You can use Facebook and Instagram, formatting pictures that go with words. That is what they require. That's where your greatest utility will come from on those two platforms. You're more or less confined to words if you're using LinkedIn or X. Maybe an occasional picture. Short, pithy messages on X, and more lengthy, well-written pieces on LinkedIn if you're going to use that. So that is one of the ways that you have to fine-tune what you're going to say, because part of your message has to be converted to a video message, part of it to words and picture messages, and in other cases, just words. Next thing to fine-tune is construct what we call a content calendar. Don't just show up at the office in the morning with something to do and deciding, well, I think I'll do this today. No, it needs to fit into a logical progression. So I'm working with a campaign right now, and we are devising the content calendar. The election is not until about a year from now. So what we're going to concentrate on the next 2 to 3 months, since this candidate just announced, is we're going to concentrate on introducing him to the electorate, talk about his biography, his record, what he's done in public life, and how that makes him uniquely qualified to fix the problems that are prevalent in his state. That will be what we call his introduction and humanizing piece of his campaign, because we'll also show pictures and footage of him with his family, his pets, taking vacations, the stuff that you're required to do to present yourself as a human being. Then there will be another phase. Exactly what we're going to do for the people of this state, where he does deep dives into his policy initiatives, what he's going to do about health care, education, the condition of the roads, the state of the infrastructure, things he's going to do to increase the standard of living of the people in his state. Then there will be what we call the contrast and compare stage, where we will separate him from his opponents and begin stressing what we call his unique selling proposition, things that he's fighting for that none of his opponents will or can, things that he's going to do that his opponents refuse to talk about. That's kind of beginning of our content calendar. But it's something that you need to do when you're fine-tuning your campaign. Figure out how you're going to roll out your strategy so that the phases of it connect with each other and make perfect sense to people who are seeing your posts. As you begin to roll out, there is something that is critically important for you to do. As you post things, monitor the response. You can't monitor what you don't measure, and you have no idea how your social media campaign is working unless you look at the statistics. How many people liked the Facebook post? How many people commented and interacted with the Facebook post? How many people shared an Instagram post? How many people watched a YouTube video versus how many people actually watched a YouTube video all the way to the end. If you do not watch these metrics, you will never have any idea of what's really working and what is not. So be data hungry. Monitor the data on everything that you are doing so you have some feedback of how your social media campaign is rolling out, and change course if necessary. Now, I've saved the best for last. This is just kind of an introduction to a social media campaign strategy, but I have a free gift for you. The link to it is right below this video, and it's another video that is absolutely free to you. The title of it is How Social Media is Used in Political Campaigns. As valuable as this was to you, if you also watch that one, you're going to get even more out of this presentation, so go do that now while this is still fresh in your mind.